I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Comics Are Awesome, brought to you by Alter Ego Comics. And comics are indeed awesome this week. We have the beginning of the Marvel Legacy books, so the jumping on points for anybody interested in getting into Marvel Comics or coming back to Marvel Comics or continuing to read Marvel Comics. 3 Batman books out this week, plus a metal tie-in. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So we'll get things rolling with my pick of the week, which is Batman White Knight, written and drawn by Sean Murphy, who has worked in the Bat universe before drawing with Scott Snyder, I believe, in All-Star Batman. He also is kind of well known, at least in my heart, for his work with Snyder on American Vampire and his writing debut in Punk Rock Jesus, which was actually a really good story. You should seek it out.
And what was the Rick Remender indie book he did last year? Tokyo Ghost?
And he did Chrononauts.
And Chrononauts.
With Mark Miller.
Yeah.
Now in development.
And more than that.
As a TV show or a movie. So anyway, Batman White Knight turns the struggle between Batman and the Joker on its head, where Batman has become so lost in what he's doing that now he's the bad guy, and the Joker, through science and many other things, is possibly becoming the savior of Gotham City. This is really a lot of fun. Lots of familiar characters in this one. It appears to be kind of an Elseworlds type tale, and Murphy's artwork is excellent. He's an excellent artist, and I think he's a very capable writer too. Does a very, very good job in telling this story.
Yeah, especially considering he has to establish what's going on in that version of the universe and then tell us how it's changing and tell us what the story is. So it's very cool. I think he probably just watched Dark Knight Rises and Superman vs. Batman, and this is a reaction against that. I mean, because like some of the things that Joker levels are literally shot for shot from Superman and Batman.
Yeah, and there's a great shot of the Joker, I guess, sitting in his room, and he's surrounded by Batman collectibles, and there's a poster from the animated series and a poster from Tim Burton's Batman. I mean, he's got different sections of Bat stuff. It's super cool.
Yeah, Murphy loves little random details, and this thing is packed full of them.
But it's an incredibly solid story. It's not... Bruce Wayne, Batman, is not necessarily evil in this. I mean, I don't want to sell it as Batman becomes the Joker, becomes a really bad guy, but the Joker it's more that he's using psychology and bringing up incidents from the past to point out that all of this bad stuff that happens in Gotham may actually be Batman's fault. So this is a really solid start to a 7-issue miniseries. Batman White Knight is top-notch. We'll continue down the Batman road with the metal one-shot that's out this week. We're getting one of these a week for the foreseeable future until we cover all the Justice League members. This week, it's Batman the Dawnbreaker, written by Sam Humphries with art by Ethan Van Sciver. And this is what happens on an Earth where Bruce Wayne, a young Bruce Wayne, moments after witnessing his parents' murder, is chosen to wield the Green Lantern ring. And it does not go the way that you might think it would go.
Doesn't matter how it goes. You said Ethan Van Sciver and Green Lantern. I'm in.
Yes, and honestly, these metallic covers are super cool.
They are.
When I first heard about it, we're going back to this foil and lenticular and all this other garbage, and you shake your head and go, why? But then they look super cool. So that is it. That's the setup, and then Dawnbreaker ends up in Earth Zero, which is the DC Universe Earth, and destruction ensues. You want to take this one, or you want to take the last one? Okay. I'm rolling along. Metal tie-in this week, Gotham Resistance finale. Last part of Gotham Resistance takes place in Green Arrow number 32. And the Batman Who Laughs features prominently in this issue, and he is going to get his own book, I think courtesy of Scott Snyder. I could be wrong. I think that's his one-shot. But he's the one kind of pulling the strings, but he has a master, Barbados, who we've never seen, or Barbatos, or whatever Barbasol. I don't know who he is. We haven't seen him yet. So this is the team of Green Arrow, Nightwing, Damian Robin, Mr. Terrific, and Harley Quinn trying to survive the labyrinth that's been set up in Gotham City. And in this issue, we make it to the Bane level. Bane is the big bad at this level.
Well, I think this is the last level, isn't it?
It is the...
or sort of. I mean, It's the last part of the miniseries. They're not going to keep going deeper, so they make a debate.
So there are kind of some revelations in here, and it continues in Metal number 3, which comes out soon. So I've been really happy with Gotham Resistance. I thought it was a great crossover. Really well done. You want this last one?
I can.
All right.
Yeah. Batman 32, written by Tom King with art by Mikel Janin. This is the conclusion, I think, of the War of Jokes and Riddles. Does it actually say conclusion?
It is finale.
Okay.
Yes.
Finale. So we see how the war between the Riddler and the Joker ends, and we see what Batman did that he feels the need to tell this whole story to Selina before he allows her to answer his proposal. It is awesome. It is fun. I was disappointed at the lack of Kite Man. I guess my only concern is there could have been more Kite Man in this issue. But all the characters are acting in character, and I'm not going to say the reveal is unexpected, but it was well handled and it made sense within the universe, which is all I can ask for at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, and the answer to the proposal is revealed.
It is in
stay
there.
off the internet because apparently it's there.
I'm sure it's
already.
there.
Damn you, internet!
They're
But you wouldn't be able to
right
watch
now.
us if we didn't have the internet. All right, and now Josh with the weather.
Josh with the weather. Oh crap! What is my pick of the week? I gotta go with Punisher the Platoon #1, written by Garth Ennis with art by Goran Parlov, and Jordy Belaire's on here. Is he a penciler or something?
He
or an
penciled
inker?
it. He inked every issue this week.
Everything this week is Jordy Belaire.
I don't know if Jordy's a man or a woman actually.
Okay. So this is part of Marvel's Max line, and which you could have gotten from the name Garth Ennis being on the cover, which is famously the greatest Punisher stories ever told are written by Garth Ennis in the Marvel Max line. And this is sort of in that continuity. There was a previous story called something else that was about Frank's time in Vietnam, but it was focused on his third tour, kind of his last run before he came back and became the Punisher after his family gets killed. This focuses on his first command. Castle's never seen combat. He's a lieutenant, so presumably he's coming in out of ROTC or out of one of the academies
Officer
or something,
training,
since he's an officer straight out the gate. It's really freaking good. Like, Garth Ennis loves writing the Punisher. Garth Ennis loves writing military history, and this is what this is. And more than anything, at least so far, it didn't even really need to be a Max book. I mean, there's a little bit of language, but compared to his other Punisher stuff, it's fairly tame, which really worked for me. Sometimes the exceptional level of stuff he gets up to can detract from the story for me, but that was not the case here. It's a great Vietnam story. It's a great Punisher story. It's just great. Like, there aren't enough nice things to say about this book. If you're a Punisher fan at all, I would check it out. If you liked the Punisher in the Netflix series, this is going to be a little different because it's Vietnam, and chronologically that doesn't work out with, what is his name? The actor.
Frank Castle? John Bernthal?
John Bernthal. I was going to say Thomas Jane. I'm like, nope, wrong Punisher.
John Barbatos?
Yes, but you would still enjoy it, I think. Just very, very cool. Good job, Garth Ennis. You still matter. I mean, he wrote Preacher and stuff, so he always matters. But
you got a second?
I could keep talking.
But you got 3 piles. So.
I got all the piles.
Yeah. Sounds like a medical
Gomer
condition.
piles over here.
Isn't piles like something on your buttocks?
Maybe. I'm not a buttocks expert, which is a proctologist.
Any proctologist, please chime in. What piles are?
No next
pictures,
up,
please.
from DC and Archie, we've got Harley and Ivy meet Betty and Veronica. Betty
It's
and
Russian.
Veronica, number
Betty
1.
and
Hello, my name is Betty. This is the first issue of a 6-issue mini, written by Paul Dini, who I would remember as whom?
Creator of Harley Quinn?
That's right, and Marc Andreco, who's written a bunch of awesome stuff. Drawn by some other people, probably. Draga,
I think it's the last page.
Nikki's,
Laura.
Laura Braga.
Yeah. Laura Branigan?
Yes, and this is exactly what it sounds like. Harley and Ivy hear that Mr. Hiram Lodge is going to drain a swamp to build a shopping mall, essentially, and they decide that they're not down with that, so they heads to Riverdale. And yeah, so we get the Archie crew, we get Betty and Veronica, and Harley and Ivy, and it's awesome. It's fun. It does a pretty good job of poking fun at the DC universe as well as the Archie universe, and it's just a good time all around.
So will Harvey and Harley and Ivy fans like this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't read it, so I just want to make sure. I would think so. Also revealed this morning, as I was reading my daily newspaper on my iPad, Archie Meets the Monkeys is coming in the near future.
So he's met the Ramones, he's met Kiss, he's met...
Lots of people. Now we got Harley
Punisher.
and Ivy, but yeah, Punisher,
Predator.
Wow. No Marvel stuff, though.
Archie knows.
Well, Punisher.
But that was years ago.
That was years ago. All right, so as I mentioned at the top of the show, all Marvel's books are all post the Legacy one-shot at this point. So they are designed as jumping on points for new readers, welcoming back lapsed readers, continuing to high-five existing readers, and they're doing this in a number of different ways. So all the Legacy books will have the Legacy banner across the top. There are primer pages at the back of the book, for one reason or another. So primer usually comes at the front, if
they put them at the front, people would skip them.
Yeah, well, maybe
they'd be like, "Oh, I didn't know who Batman is."
Which gives you the rundown on who the main character of the book is, or main characters are. And this is I just want to take a second and pause to talk about each of these briefly, because Marvel is changing the way that they're writing, I think, with Legacy. I think we're seeing kind of almost what Rebirth did in a way, but back to the mighty Marvel manner of telling stories. So more focus on the characters and character development, classic villains returning, so not as heavy with the content, which I don't know whether that's a good thing or not, but I'm just telling you, the books that I've read, they seem to not be as
doom and gloom.
Yeah, doom and gloom, which is a good thing. And Marvel was accused, no hero fighting hero. It's heroes fighting bad guys. And I think
we're back to heroes bickering with heroes in the mighty Marvel manner.
Not a lot of bickering either. So we get several titles this week. I'll retract my statement on not as doom and gloom when we get to one of the books Josh will talk about. But Champions.
No, that's not
Sorry,
Champions.
Iceman. I can't read this damn lenticular thing. And for our local folks, we boycotted the lenticulars because Marvel is out of their freaking mind when it comes to retailers ordering this stuff. But we were able to qualify for this one very easily because only one of you was reading Iceman. So you may want to return and check out Iceman with number 6. This is a Champions reunion. So at the end of A Secret Empire, the Black Widow is presumed dead. Most people think that she is dead. And so her former teammates with the LA-based super team, the Champions, that would be Iceman, Angel, whoever that is, Hercules, and Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider, all get together to raise a glass to Natasha Romanoff. So that's what happens in this issue. And as a longtime Marvel fan, I really enjoyed it. And that's why we're carrying it, because I liked it. And that's how it works.
And it's
here.
his money. So.
And that's how we order. That's how it works here. Venom is issue number 155. It is the first part of a storyline titled
called what?
Lethal Protector. If you go through our back issue bins, you will find the original Venom Lethal Protector miniseries, which was the first Venom miniseries. And Venom is back to being a lethal protector. It was enjoyable. This is written by, what's-his-face, Mike Costa, artwork by Mark Bagley.
Mike Costa's always good. Bagley's always good, too.
Absolutely. Iron Fist. This one is one that I was pleasantly surprised by. I was pulling for it because Iron Fist just wasn't working for me on a couple of different levels, and I don't think it was working for a lot of people, but I think this is a return to classic Iron Fist storytelling. Ed Brisson is the writer, Mike Perkins is the artist, and if you may recall, the X-Men villain Sabretooth first appeared in an Iron Fist issue back in the day. I want to say 15.
I was thinking 17. Could be 15.
So this is actually drawing a connection from that first appearance, and Danny Rand has to seek out Sabretooth for a mission against a bad guy that they both remember well.
And if you don't like comics, Marvel has brought back the awesome value stamps.
That's right.
You can just punch these out and catch them all 53.
And there will be the value stamp collector album available in a week or two.
Awesome.
At your local store. Now, I should say the value stamps are only available in the non-lenticular versions of the comics, so you have to pick. In our store, you don't have to pick because, for the most part,
unless you want Iceman,
we boycotted the lenticulars. And finally, on my end, Spirits of Vengeance is back. This is kind of a throwback to the late 80s, early 90s when you had Morbius and Blade and Johnny Blaze and Danny Ketch and all kinds of supernatural people teaming up to fight the forces of darkness. And we're back with that. Johnny Blaze is back as Ghost Rider, which is totally... Legacy featured a whole lot of the other Ghost Rider, but Johnny Blaze is now back in 2 books this week, and we have no other Ghost Rider, which is fine with me, because I like Johnny Blaze better. Johnny Blaze, Damon Hellstrom, Blade, and Hellstrom's sister, Santana, Carlos Santana,
yes,
with the guitar solo.
He's got a pebble in him.
So these guys are back together to solve a supernatural mystery involving a magic bullet. It's the JFK assassination.
Back and to the left.
So those of you that have
pages.
been hankering for some Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider, and Blade, and all of these characters from the dark side of Marvel, Spirits of Vengeance will be waiting for you at your local comic shop this week, and I endorse it.
He's Mark, and he approves this message.
Yes.
In the world of Legacy this week, we've got more Marvel continues. Avengers kicks into Legacy gear with 672, still written by Mark Waid, art by Jesus Saez, who I think was one of the pencilers on it previously, possibly. This is Worlds Collide, so this is the first part of a 2-part crossover with the Champions, also written by Mark Waid. And that's all you need to know. Champions, Avengers, teaming up, punching space rocks, probably. Super fun. Also in the crossover vein, we've got X-Men Gold number 13. This is part 1 of Mojo Worldwide. So this will cross over into X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue. Mojo is decided that it's almost like a parody of Legacy. Mojo's decided that the best thing for viewers is to grab a bunch of X-Men and throw them at their greatest hits. So we've got Inferno and
Days of Future
Past and some others.
Age of Apocalypse.
Was Age of Apocalypse?
Well,
I wasn't sure on the other
there.
one.
He's on the cover. I don't know what he's doing there.
But yeah, so just super fun. The X-Men have a wide and varied cast and a wide and varied history, and this spotlight's like all of it. And last up for me, the one Mark was talking about as not being fun, and by God, it shouldn't be fun. Jessica Jones 13, still written by comic auteur Brian Michael Bendis, art by Michael Gaydos, probably something by Matt Hollingsworth, let's say inking, maybe coloring. And this is called part 1 of Return of the Purple Man.
Who's the Purple Man, you say?
Purple
How would we
Man,
know the Purple Man?
The Purple Man, he was played by David Tennant in the Netflix TV series. And he is just like the scariest bad guy in the Marvel Universe from if you have a certain sort of imagination. And he is one of Jessica's big bads. He's arguably Jessica's arch nemesis. What he did to her was formative in the personality and the way she is now. And he's out, and she knows it, and stuff's going down, man. It's not happy, it's not upbeat, but it is really great comics if you like pathos and darkness
and words.
So many words.
Yes, I thought as I read that.
Well, I mean, really, if you think about it, words are his power.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I thought the whole book was going to be like the first 3 or 4 pages. You'll have to pick it up for yourself. See what I'm talking about. All right, we're back over to stuff we liked that's not Marvel or DC, and that would be Hack Slash versus Vampirella. Now, I'm a big Hack Slash fan. I think it's one of the best female heroes of the last 15 years, easy. Very enjoyable horror comic, which doesn't usually come out of my mouth very often. But for those of you that maybe don't know who Cassie Hack is, she is the sole survivor of a slasher who happened to be her mother, and she runs around beating people up with a baseball bat, a lot like Negan, from which we'll get to in a minute. So Vampirella and Cassie Hack happen to cross paths while investigating a horrific murder, 2 horrific murders. So there appears to be a serial murderer on the loose, and these 2 horror people may or may not team up. So this is a limited series written by Sean Aldrich, art by Rafa Lobosco, and stay tuned in the next couple of weeks. Hack Slash is returning to Image Comics with a new series, and I had a chance to read the first issue, and it is excellent.
Cool. Also indie this week, we've got 2 other books. One is Eugenics. This is a 3-issue by James Tynion and Eric Donovan. You may remember them as the team off of Mimetic. Is that what it was called?
Maybe.
The one with the weird cover with the slothy guy on it. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of similar in that vein. This is the story. First of all, this book is kind of huge.
Yeah. It's only 3 issues.
I think they did, it's 3 double-sized issues instead of 6 normal-sized issues. So this is a story of a plague that breaks out in the world, and it's causing widespread infertility, as well as murder and death and badness. Humanity is on the brink of going away, and a genius geneticist doctor guy finds a way to save us. He invents a vaccine. He teams up with this company, Gonrig Coal, to distribute it worldwide, not for free, but very, very close to free, which is better than most pharmaceutical companies would do. And then 9 months after more than half the world has taken this vaccine, it turns out that the first babies are being born since the disease severely impacted our ability to recreate. And they start coming back kind of funky looking, like this weird baby on the cover. And I don't know that... It's a very, very... It's a think book.
It's a compelling story.
It's a very compelling story. It's not a fun story, because it's about murder and death and eugenics. And if anybody's seen Star Trek, we know how eugenics turn out. It's not great. You get Khan. Khan is great too, so maybe eugenics did work out for them. I don't know. But it's very tapped into what's going on in the world today. A lot of the political climate and the attitudes and our interactions with our fellow humans definitely informs what's going on in here, which is interesting because actually in the back matter they talk about how when they were just finishing Memetic, they were talking about this and kind of formulating it, and they're like, and we put it out now when it happens to be more relevant than it was when we came up with the idea. But yes, it's very good. If you like kind of, I don't want to say high-minded, but there's ideas in there, so you might check that out.
It's a thinking person's book.
It is a thinking person's book.
Which is why I didn't read it.
Well, no. It's not it's not
actually.
upbeat or fun, that's for damn sure. Go read Iceman if you want fun. And then the book that ran neck and neck for my pick of the week this week is Slots, written and drawn by Dan Panosian.
Is it about Dan Slott?
It is about Dan Slott. No. This is about a charismatic drifter who gets by on conning people and just kind of smiling and flirting, and just his luck has finally run out. He's at the end of his rope, and an old contact calls him. He has to go back to Vegas, a town from which he's been sort of semi-exiled, and he has to try and pull off one last job to help his friend out, knowing that he's kind of at the end of his road. It's great. It's almost like a light noir. There's a lot of great voiceover. A lot of the characters are kind of shady and have dark pasts and interactions, but it's kind of fun. It's not heavy like a Brubaker noir where there's this overbearing sense of dread. This is kind of like everything's going to go horribly, but the people are so awful that I don't mind. I can enjoy the ride of seeing someone kind of skim by on looks and a smile and a little bit of wicked ingenuity. So yeah, it's very cool. I'm not overly familiar with Panosian's work, but
he's primarily an artist.
Right, he's a penciler. I think this is the first thing he's ever written. But a lot of his superhero work is more tight. This is a more unique style than I remember from him. But yeah, lots of fun. Very cool, unique book. There's nothing else. There's no other stories like this on the stands this week.
Yeah, and that goes for eugenics.
Absolutely.
Too.
It's just another one of those end of the world genetic modification.
If you're looking for a non-superhero book, both of those books work.
Yeah,
very well.
And you mentioned.
Yeah, so if you were picking up the Image Plus magazine to get the Walking Dead Negan story, or if you weren't, I should say. It's been collected in hardcover now, so Here's Negan is available now in hardcover for you Walking Dead fans, and probably for a lot of the casual fans that only read Walking Dead in collected edition format. Now you can pick up Here's Negan and find out, is it his origin story? I don't read Walking Dead, so do you know?
I don't.
It's Here's Negan, and it's available now.
It's a new Walking Dead graphic novel that's never been published anywhere together before.
Yeah.
Last up, we've got every time DC puts out a movie or has a movie coming out, they like to do a cool kind of greatest hits graphic novel for it. We got one for Batman, we got one for Suicide Squad. Harley, well, it was Harley more than Suicide Squad. So this time around, we got a Justice League movie coming out in a couple months. So we got the greatest triumphs of the Justice League. So this is another.
Month.
Is it next month?
It's next month. Believe it or not. Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry, go ahead. Greatest triumphs.
Greatest triumphs. So this is $9.99 for a full trade worth of awesome. Basically, they cherry-picked from the last several years of DC's Justice League stories and picked what they thought were the cream of the crop, slapped them in a trade so you can kind of find out who these Justice League cats are before that movie comes out, in case you haven't heard of Batman. So we've got what looks like 2 different issues from different story arcs in the Jeff Johns run, one by Jim Lee, one by Ivan Rice. We've got some Mark Waid stuff, that'd be late 90s JLA after Morrison left. We've got Brad Meltzer's Justice League #1 from 2006. Brad Meltzer, you remember from the iconic Identity Crisis story, as well as I Am Sacagawea, I Am Gandhi, I Am
also
Helen
out
Keller.
this week. I Am Sacagawea and I Am Gandhi.
And also a TV show on History Channel, and actually 2 TV shows, Decoded and another one. Let's see, and then Forever Heroes. 3 issues of Jeff Johns' run, but this time with Doug Mahnke, or Monk. I don't really know how to say your name, Doug. I'm sorry. And then we get a classic Kurt Busiek, Ron Garney story from the early 2000s, as well as the first issue, the Justice League Rebirth #1 by the current team of Brian Hitch.
And Brian Hitch.
So if you just like Justice League, if you pick up a Justice League graphic novel and you think, sure, there's a lot of stuff in here, but maybe they should just pick the parts that are the most awesome and put them in one book, this is for you. This is all the awesome, none of the weight, none of that heavy story or character development, just punching and kissing and whatever else it is the Justice League does when we're not looking.
And I would go.
There's probably not a lot of kissing in there, actually. But
it is for you, but it's also for people you know. I think that the DC $9.99 trades are great to give to people who like the movies, who like the characters in other media, but maybe don't read comics. So if you have a youngster in your household who's excited about Justice League, not too young, but a teenager or middle schooler or something like that, or a friend who is interested in these characters, pick this up. It makes a great gift. We're getting close to Christmas time, so this would make a great gift for the holidays.
We're getting close to Canadian Thanksgiving.
Can never start too early.
I believe the proper gift for Canadian Thanksgiving is a Justice League graphic novel, if I remember correctly. So that's in
October. Trying to think if there were any Canadians in there. I don't think so.
No. On the creative team or on the...
Yeah, any creative team or characters.
Well, Superman, Kansas is basically Canada.
I disagree. So that is it for this week. Man, we talked about a lot of stuff. Great week for Marvel fans, DC fans, indie fans. It's a great week to head to your local comic shop and pick up some comics that are awesome. So if you would like to continue this conversation with us and talk about what you liked, as well as find out more about what we liked, head over to our private Facebook group. There'll be a link in the show notes where you can do that. And if you like this week's episode, please give us a thumbs up. The more likes we get, the more people see the video, and the more people will find out what comics are awesome. Sorry, I'm really trying hard not to say it. And make sure you subscribe so you're kept in the loop when we add new videos. We do appreciate you watching, and we will see you again very soon.